Okay, I just wanted to do a quick tutorial showing you how to animate titles. I might do some other animations as well, but for now, um, I'm going to write out animation made easy. So the first thing you want to do is go to Canvas, Animation Assist, and you can turn that on. That way each layer will be a separate frame down here. Okay, so the first one we have is A. So I'm just going to double this, and I'm going to add an N. So right now we have two layers. The A, which you can see it's a little bit lighter, so that's called an onion skin. So AN is the current frame, so I'm just going to duplicate that. I'm going to go with Edit Text, and I'm going to add I. Then I'm going to duplicate NAI, Edit Text, M, duplicate NI, ANIM. Can't spell when you're spelling so slow. A. So I'm going to keep duplicating until I finish the word. Animation. Okay, so now we have all of these frames down here for our animation word. So then we have made easy, which I also want in my animation. So I'm going to bring that to the top because the way Procreate works, everything animates from the top, or from the bottom to the top. So that's how this is going to run. So if I hit play, everything's going to animate from the bottom, from the first layer to the top. And you see how fast it is? The settings are pretty simple. Loop just means it's looping. Ping pong, sort of like a boomerang. One shot means it just plays once and that's it. So I usually leave it on loop. Also, if we hit play, it's really fast right now. You can lower the frames per second and it'll go slower. Raise the frames per second and it goes really, really fast. So I'm going to put it on probably like 7 is good. Okay. So now we have made easy. So what I'm actually going to do is I want to kind of color this in. So I'm going to select the text, and then I'm going to make a layer above it, and I'll use a graffiti brush just to color it in. Okay, so I want to go in my layer above, and I'm going to start to color that in. Then I'm going to duplicate that, and as you can see, this onion layer went away. So it'd be better for me if I could see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the original Made Easy. Actually, it doesn't matter which layer I go to. I'm just going to go to Settings, and I'm just going to set the onion skin frames to, we'll set it to 4 right now. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I've selected Made Easy again. I'm going to go back to that last frame, and now I'm just going to color in more. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to color in more. Duplicate that, and I'm going to make sure everything is colored in. Okay. So now we don't need that original Made Easy. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to tell you about, so animation here is essentially, these words aren't really connected to it yet. So what I want to do is I want to take animation and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to bring this one up. I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to bring this one up. Duplicate it again. Bring this one up. And I'll duplicate it one more time just to be safe. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these layers. Okay, let me duplicate it one more time and bring it all the way to the top. I'm going to merge. Okay, so this is the first part of the animation. Let's see how it plays. It's not bad. So the first thing I want to do is I would like to hold this frame. I'm just going to rasterize it so it's easier to work with. So I want to hold this frame for, let's hold it for 6, and then let's see. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm gonna make the whole thing go a little bit quicker by raising my frames per second. So I'll go to 10. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this a little bit longer. So I'm going to make that pause a little bit longer. And now I'm going to make the last frame. I'm going to hold that for 10 frames as well. So let's see how that plays. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So the next part of this, I just wrote in Procreate with Dave Reed, and I think I want an arrow going by, and sort of when the arrow goes by, it colors this in, sort of. So there's another option that you can do here, and if something is all the way on the top layer, like this is, you can lock it as the foreground. So I'm going to lock this as my foreground. I'm going to lower the opacity just so I can see properly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this last frame off hold, and I'm just going to have to duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and erase this layer in between, and I'm just going to write here, arrow starts. So that way I know this is where I'm going to start my arrow. Okay, so I'm going to start the arrow right here. And then we're going to duplicate that whole thing, but I'm going to erase the previous arrow. So now I'm going to make the arrow like this. So from now on, I'm just going to use a line just to kind of save myself some time. And actually, another easy thing that I can do is I can take this layer and I can just duplicate that. So now I'll go back to the next layer where I was, and then I can make my lines, and that's a lot easier. And I'm going to duplicate a few more because I don't have enough to finish the animation, so okay, and now I'm just gonna add another one of that last layer. I'm gonna add another one here, and I'll just duplicate it just in case I need an extra one. So now what I'm gonna do is, let me make sure I'm on the right layer. Okay, this can be the very end of the arrow, and I'll do some little I'll do 4 more frames. Okay, so I'll do this. Little droplets coming out. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So now the only thing that I have to do now is I'm going to select the writing, and then I'm going to go down, and I'm going to kind of see where, so it sort of hits the word here. We'll just do a little bit there. And then we'll go here, and we'll sort of color in a little bit more. Then we'll go here, and we'll color in a little bit more. And we'll go here, and make this a little bit bigger. I'm just going to use a bigger brush and be a little bit quicker. Okay, so we almost have all of this colored in. Okay, so all the white is colored in, and now I'm just gonna, now it's a bit easier because I can just color in everything for these next few frames. And of course, there's probably easier ways to do this. I've never actually done this, what I'm doing right now. There's probably easier ways to do it, but I think this is fairly efficient. Okay, so we have our words here, and let me just make sure that there's nothing else on this frame. Okay, there is a little bit of that, so I'm just going to duplicate everything, and I'm just going to erase, oops, and then I'm just going to erase this stuff. Okay, so this is the final. So that's the final frame of the arrow. This is what I'll leave on screen once I'm done. But we do have to finish up those arrows. So let me just bring everything back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, just to make it easier, I'm going to make my onion skins to 1. That way I'm only seeing one frame ahead and one frame behind. Okay, so where are we at now? Okay, so this is I'm going to actually lower the opacity of the onion skin as well. That way I don't get confused as to which arrow I'm using, or should be drawing on. Okay, so it has an upward trajectory, which means it should be going pretty fast. So I'm going to, it's not bad. For the next arrow, keep these nice and slender. For the next one, okay, so for this one, I'm going to sort of not make it going not make it so narrow. So I'm just going to open up. It's actually a bit hard to see. So I'm going to open up this bottom part like this. I'm going to do the same thing for the next frame. I'm going to make these really wide and open up. And that's just to exaggerate the fact that it's hitting the midpoint, so it's not going as fast as it was. I should actually probably put a few frames in the middle, but it'll be alright. The few frames would make it go a little bit slower when it's at its peak curve. Okay. Okay, so now it should be picking up speed again, so I'm going to narrow these. Oops. Make everything narrow again. Okay, so this is just the tail end of the arrow. Okay, and there's no more arrow. Good. Okay, so the only thing I'm going to do now is on this final frame. Actually, I don't need this anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide that top layer, which was our template for in Procreate with Dave Reed. And now I'm going to go to this last layer and I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds. So let's see how it plays. It's not bad. I mean, that's exactly what I was going for. The only thing that I kind of like, or might do, is add a little bit of extras here. So I'm going to lower my opacity. I'm just going to just add a little bit of, just a little flavor to that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. So that's just a quick and dirty little animation in Procreate. These are really easy. The more you do it, the more you can kind of, it'll get less complicated. But you can start really easy. Just start with an arrow, or just start with animating just a title sequence. It's really easy. It's really simple. And of course, if you really like this animation and you want to do more of it and go in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare course. It's much longer than this. I go over all of the details, my canvas size, everything that I'm doing step by step, just much slower. It's much more involved. So if you do want to do more of this, then I would definitely suggest going to check out my Skillshare class. It's called Animation Made Easy in Procreate with Dave Reed, which is me. Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back. Then I'll be looking forward to seeing your animations. So yeah, we're just going to do a little quick, simple animations that... Alright, so on to... okay. Alright. Alright, so that's enough yapping. What can they download? So once again, thank you so much for not stopping by. Alright, so once again, thank you so much for taking the class. I'm really excited to get started with animation.